Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining the 21st SF Doc Fest. The festival will be running June 1st through 12th at the Roxy Theater in San Francisco, as well as online. Today, we are joined with filmmakers from the Shorts program Off the Beaten Path. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to kick things off. If you could please tell us your name and which film you're here with, and we'll start off with you. Hi, Kai.
Hi, I'm Kai Wada Roth, and I am the creator for Telos or Bust.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome. Hi, Maxwell. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, nice to be here. My name's Max, and I'm here with Strange Bedfellows.
Awesome. Hi, Brad. Thanks for joining.
Hello, I'm Brad Abrahams, and I directed Telos or Bust.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have Keo. Hi, Keo. Welcome.
Hey, I'm Keel. I'm with Total Disaster.
Wonderful. So glad to have you all here with our program that I think kind of highlights a collection of films that are a little bit quirky, a little bit, as the title says, they're a little offbeat, off the beaten path. So we're so glad to have you. And if you all could just kind of tell us about the genesis of your films, how they came to be, how you came to be involved with it, and we'll go reverse and start off with Kale. Hi.
Hey, so the genesis of my film is I, for many years, worked with a performance collective of activist troublemakers called the Yes Men. And so we partner with campaigns that kind of need playful humor and disruption performance, and sometimes a little edgier than what campaigns do on their own. And so this project, actually my co-director and I approached a campaign called Stop EACOP, members of this campaign working on the East African crude oil pipeline. And we said, it really feels like you guys could use our bizarre brand of humorous disruption. So we developed a performative project that kind of created a scene, kind of like a fake PR disaster on behalf of this company, Total. It was behind EACOP, and then publicized it in order to get media attention on what they're doing. So kind of like using humor and disruption to stage a press conference that goes intentionally terribly for this evil company, and creating a kind of, the idea is basically to create a kind of symbolic image that sticks in people's brains that then just becomes associated with the company we're criticizing, almost like reverse advertising, sort of. So hopefully when people think of this company and the project they're doing that is going to be devastating in East Africa, they'll also be like, oh yeah, I heard about that company Total, like they murder birds, right? It's the premise.
Yes, I'm sure that we will all forever be marred by the imagery of the blood-soaked curtain as the press kind of file out in disbelief. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Max. Tell us a little bit about your adorable, introspective take on your film.
Sure. Yeah. So I made my film in Stanford's grad program, and so we had 10 weeks to make a film, and I didn't really have any ideas, but I had this sort of intuition that there might be something in puppets. So I started looking around for interesting puppeteers, and found Conrad and Elizabeth. And at the same time, I was in a long distance relationship, and we were talking about moving in at the end of my time at Stanford, and some things were coming up. And I was thinking maybe there's a film there. And then the more I got to know Conrad and Elizabeth, I went and just filmed some test footage with them and talked with them a bunch and hung out with them. And they sort of revealed that they had this really interesting and complicated romantic life. My film doesn't even go into a bunch of the things that they were telling me about. So I was like, that's interesting. And so my film kind of like took a left turn and merged those two stories into one story.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, Brad and Kai. Brad, we'll start off with you if you want to talk about how you became involved with your film.
Yeah. So I've been friends with Kai for a while. My producer and I, Matt, and he pitched us on the idea of a docuseries about bizarre, little-known folklore around the world. And we wanted to start with a pilot episode that we could shoot ourselves. I was living in San Francisco at the time, and Kai was like, "What about this place, Mount Shasta? It's just 6 hours north, and it seems to have every kind of new age folklore swirling around all in one place." And we were, he didn't have to say any more after that.
Thank you so much. So Kai, this is your brainchild. Can you have you been to Manchester? Do you have like people that live there that you knew, or
No.
how did you find your way in?
Well, I think I just did a recon up there and just introduced myself. I like to just kind of stick myself in situations, and I feel like for, the hundreds of times playing in bands and driving past Mount Shasta and going past like the 3 exits, I never stopped or explored it. And our whole series is about overlooked folklore that's in your backyard. And I was like, I knew about the history of the lost continent of Mu and the Lemurians, and the Bigfoot activity on Mount Shasta, or the small little elf people. But anyways, and so it was just fun to go and everyone's just like, we're all Californians, so it's just like you can just introduce yourself to someone and feel comfortable. And we didn't really have a hard time like having people open up and tell us their personal beliefs. And it was just fascinating that there were so many people with different beliefs, but all sort of a core center belief, and they may not believe in something else someone else believes in, or a whole group believes in, but they believe in a certain thing that's in their mind. And there's so many people like that up there. It's a fascinating area. I don't know if that answered anything, but
No, most certainly. Just kind of kick it back to you, Brad. Were there any challenges getting in there? Obviously, Kai's mentioned that people seem very trusting, but I think you're asking people to let you tell their story and represent kind of their spirituality in a way. Did you have to like go in and tell everyone that they were pretty and nice and
we only had two sort of bumps in the road, and one was a lady we wanted to interview that then she started looking through Kai's Facebook, and Kai hosts all these screenings in San Francisco, like monster bashes and alien festivals, and she said too many photos of him with demonic looking people and creatures, and she didn't want to be associated with that, so she canceled. And the other was there's a kind of a religious sect in Mount Shasta called the I Am activity, and we went in there kind of very polite and friendly, and they were the only place where we got totally kind of stonewalled from filming. They let us go in there and sit in their purple flame meditation room, which I recommend to anyone that's in Mount Shasta. And we did go see they have kind of a Bible, Old Testament theme park that they put on pageants at, that's like right underneath Mount Shasta, that I think members of the public can go to as well. So we got to film a little bit of that, but otherwise no dice with them.
Well, definitely adding that to the next time I'm up north bucket list to go check out. Max, how did you find your subjects? How did you get your then girlfriend to sign on to participate? Like, what was this process and what were your takeaways? I think you kind of do talk about it with the film. Obviously, you're mirroring something that's happening with you and your heart as you're kind of exploring these two characters. But how did that come together? How did you meet them?
Yeah, I mean, I found Conrad and Elizabeth through, there's like a puppet registry, and I just was looking through and I just loved their puppets. But yeah, and they were just like super welcoming people, and kind of like I just took me like a 2-hour drive to get out there. So I'd spend a lot of time with them, just sort of hanging out. And then my partner, Monica, was like, nervous about being in the film, but we spent probably like a month just recording all of our phone conversations so that became natural. And then really the whole film is just like one conversation that we had like the day before I started filming with Conrad and Elizabeth. And I would say like in general, the takeaway I had, it really changed my approach to like working with people, and it really was super collaborative, both with Conrad and Elizabeth, but also Monica like watched cuts of the film and had a big hand in like what I was including of our dialogue too. So it would really, I think as I've continued to work, that's been like really crucial for me.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, Kia. I would ask you what your challenges were, but I think that when you work with subversive activism, like the challenge is the objective. Obviously, with the work with the Fixers, with the Yes Men, can you tell me, was this film always meant to be a component of the piece? This bird's eye view of this thing that people might see snippets in the news, but can you kind of just talk about your approach to actually documenting as you're going about this like active subversion?
Yeah, all of the projects I've been involved in, the initial audience is the media or the people in the room, but really it's all about how we tell the story about what happened later in a film, in a short film, and sometimes in a feature. So that's kind of actually the main point in the real audience. And it's another chance to also craft basically why we do this. The reveal of the kind of short-term trickery of it is kind of the reason that I think it's the first wave of media attention, but really that kind of doesn't mean anything until it's collected into like a documentary format that contextualizes things. So it's kind of everything actually. And we go into it thinking that in mind. So everything is documented, all the behind the scenes prep, all the process, and then we shoot it thinking about recording it. We immediately deliver to the press a very rough kind of assembly of what happened, just like the night of, so they have immediately something to broadcast. But really the film is kind of like the main thing, and we shoot it just like we would. The only thing is, just like any documentary, there's so many unknowns, but the crew is just ready to roll with that, of course. No matter what happens, don't stop filming even when they ask you to stop filming.
Yeah. Were there any particular challenges with this that we didn't see on screen?
Getting press in the room is really challenging. This is a really fancy venue. It was very, very proper. So it was like difficult to like actually encourage and to do something. It was in the fall of 2021. So there was still like COVID procedures that made it complicated. So just getting enough people to actually turn out was a challenge. So a lot of the work that goes on behind the scenes is probably similar to a lot of other documentary making, in that there's a lot of like conversations on the phone with people to like get them in the room without being deceiving, but also in a way that's not so boring that they don't show up. So it's enough to like, it's just finding ways to like pique their interest to come. But no, it was fine. And it was enough for many journalists to bring them in on like a kind of wink, wink, like this will be really fun, you should be here, as opposed to trying to trick them to make you think like, and then reveal later. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's just about all the time that we have today. Thank you all so much for sharing your films at the festival and coming out to discuss them. I will note that the film Tell Us or Bust will also be screening live at the festival with the film Roots of Fire on Thursday, June 2nd. So if you're in San Francisco, please check that out. And again, thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it.